All right. So most agents that I talk to, when I ask the question, hey, what is your biggest struggle? What is the thing that's holding you back from earning the money that you want in your real estate agent business? And almost every time they say it's a lead generation problem. Now, this is the number one skill that you need to master if you're going to really, really succeed in this business to the level that I think you want to succeed. So let's solve this damn thing once and for all. Because as we get into 2025 and years to come, lead generation is a very, very simple thing once you understand what I'm going to walk you through in today's video. All right. Now, before we jump into what I'm calling lead generation mastery, I just launched a brand new online course. You can get it for free. It's going to help to put together a 6-figure blueprint. There's a link right into the in the description. You can get that for free right now. All right. So let me share my screen and do a deep dive so that no longer will you ever have problem with lead generation again. All right. So let me tilt my screen. There you go. That'll probably make this a little bit easier. So when we look at this, there's really a couple of questions that we have to answer. The first question, and the first thing that we're going to dive into, is this question around who. Now, when I'm talking about who, the problem that most real estate agents that struggle with this have is identifying or understanding the idea of target market. They have a tough time understanding a niche. They have a tough time understanding what it means to have an ideal client avatar. This is super difficult for them. They never think about this like a marketer. They never think about this like an entrepreneur. They think, well, what do you mean who? Who? Somebody who's looking to buy a house, of course, or someone looking to sell a house, of course, Brandon. And the problem is they try to, they most of the time they're waiting for people to find them that want to buy or sell a house. And they wait so long that they end up not being able to stay in the business. So we have to approach this very, very, very differently. Okay. So the first thing that we have to understand is we have to have what we call, just what I just said, a target market. Meaning we have to go out there as entrepreneurs like every other business owner out there. I don't know why this would be any different for real estate agents, although somehow, some way it is. You have to go out there and target a demographic. You actually have to, we'll call it a niche. You've got to actually niche down and figure out, okay, of all my prospecting and marketing and advertising efforts, which is what lead generation is, I actually have to go and target some people. You can't just say every Tom, Dick, and Harry and try to chase everybody down because you're going to end up catching none. Now, I know you know that. So the challenge is, well, how do I do this? And we're going to get into all of that in this video. So I want to just draw you a couple visuals. I think that I'm a very, very visual learner. I think a lot of people are as well. So again, if we look at the market and you've got all these people, all right, that live in wherever you sell real estate, all right? So you've got all these people. We'll just draw a few of them. Most real estate agents use this shotgun approach to say, well, I'm going to go and try to capture, and I'm going to go after everybody. It's a very cold approach. They turn to things like mass advertising, or they look at cold calling, or they look at like geographic farming. They look at things like they say things like social media, and they just put out random messages to everybody, and then they hope that someone's going to call them one day. Well, here's a question for you. Wouldn't it make more sense that you, as an entrepreneur who's looking to sell the services of a real estate agent, go after people who you knew had a high likelihood of buying or selling a house? Like, wouldn't that just make sense? I don't know, call me crazy, but to me, it's like, Why am I spending my time, energy, and effort going after everyone if I don't know that they're buying or selling a house? If I could target my efforts going after people who have a high likelihood to buy or sell a home, wouldn't I get a better result? And you're sitting there saying, well, yes, that makes sense, Brandon. If you buy into that, if you buy into this idea to say, okay, I need to spend my lead generation efforts going after people that have the highest likelihood of buying or selling a home, this is what we mean by target market. Okay? That's what we mean by target market. Now, the question is, okay, well, fine, Brandon. Yeah, I would love to do that. So teach me how to do it. All right. We have to first look at this other question, which is, well, why? Why do people buy and sell houses? Why do people buy and sell houses? We have to be able to answer the question. Why do they do that? This is going to help make lead generation for you so crystal clear. Okay, I drew what I'm about to draw for you in front of a group of agents the other day, and they're like, wow, that makes so much more sense. That takes like lead generation, this mystery of lead generation, and it simplifies the whole thing. I'm going to draw the same thing for you. All right. So, why do people buy and sell houses? Well, let's just look at their journey, shall we? So, people go as they often do in life. They will buy their first home for many different reasons. Maybe they get married. And so as they get married, they buy their first home. Right? First time home buyers. You've heard that time and time and time and time again. Okay, fine. Then as they go and they travel through life, maybe they say, okay, maybe they start to have some kids. And therefore, if they have kids, they have to get what? They have to get a bigger home. Okay, great. What else happens? Well, as life goes on, let's just say that they buy their first home between 20 and 25. They start to pop out some kids, 25 to 30. Then what happens is, around 35, they start to make some more money in their career. They start to maybe they even have some more kids. And so they upsize. They upsize, as they often do. They upsize into what a lot of people would categorize as like their dream home. Okay, great. So life goes on. Then what happens? Well, there could be a fork in the road. Some people around 40, this is kind of what happens. Around 40, some people get a divorce. Yeah. And as a result of getting a divorce, they have to sell their dream home and they have to go buy 2 new homes. Yeah. Sometimes they lose a job, right? They lose income. And that's a struggle for a lot of people. And they end up in these situations where they don't want to be in. And so a couple of things I miss, I want to make sure I don't miss this. As these people are progressing through life, sometimes these people that have their first home, that get something bigger after they get married and after they start having some kids, sometimes they will rent that first home out. It's like, I don't want to sell that thing. They have an emotional attachment to it. Sometimes they rent it out. And sometimes they do that with the first house that they buy together or the second house they buy when they've got kids. Sometimes they say, I don't want to sell this thing. I'll rent it out. Right? So that can also happen along someone's journey. All right. Well, what else happens? All right. So life keeps going on. Obviously, there's some pit stops. Sometimes people retire. Yes. And when they retire, they've got this big dream home. The kids are off to college. They're by themselves. They're empty nesters. They're in a home that's just too big for them. What do they tend to do? Oh, that's right. They downsize. They get into something smaller, more manageable. That just makes a lot of sense, right? Or sometimes the reality, people pass away. they pass away, and that happens. People that own these homes, they pass away. And sometimes as life goes on, as they get into their downsizing home, they get even elder, right? These elder people, and they have to find themselves into assisted living, right? This is kind of like the roadmap, if you will, of people that go through. Now, if we look at this for a second, and I just highlight all their real estate pit stops, if you will. We talked about the first-time home buyer. Okay, fine. We talked about them renting a home. We talked about them getting something a little bit bigger when they first having kids. Then we talked about them upsizing into their dream home. We talked about them renting out maybe their second home. We talked about what happens when that mid-40s, right? We talked about getting a divorce. We talked about them each having to buy their own separate homes. We talked about sometimes that people lose their job and they find themselves in a very, very difficult situation to keep that dream home. We talked about people retiring and having to downsize. We talked about people dying. We talked about people when they get elder, they can't live on their own. Every highlighted area is a moment in life as to why people buy and sell homes. You take all the guesswork completely out of this thing. You simplify it. You say, wow, okay, it's right there in front of me. Wouldn't it then make more sense, y'all, to say, okay, stop trying to guess and go after just like mass advertising, mass marketing, and hope that somebody has to buy or sell, and focus your time around these life events? Like, I'm hoping you're like, yeah, dude, that makes way more sense. We know that the likelihood when people go through these life events, this is where the majority of people buy and sell real estate. Wouldn't it then make sense to put all of our attention, all of our energy into these life events? And you say, wow, maybe you have your first aha. You say, yes, this is lead generation simplified. So then let me give you some examples. If you haven't got it already, let me just make this even more simple for you. So you have all these different life events. So let's talk about some examples. Now, the easiest one, okay, is, excuse me, I'm getting over this damn cold, are expired listings, canceled listings, withdrawn listings, for sale by owners. These are the low-hanging fruit of people that could be anywhere on the timeline that have their hand raised, telling everybody, I'm moving. Okay, that is a no-brainer. That makes our lives as real estate agents so much easier, because that kind of takes all the guesswork out of it. We know these people, they could be anywhere on this timeline. They could be, first-time upsizers. They could be second-time upsizers. They could be going through a divorce. They could have lost a job. Any of these life events. But these are people, hand in the sky, saying, I have to do something. Okay, that's one example. Number two, what about all these people that have all these one or two rental homes, these absentee owners? Now, here's the thing about absentee owners. If you go into your MLS right now and you look at all the closings over the last 6 months, the last 12 months, it doesn't matter. What you're going to find is about 20% of your market are these absentee owners. 20% of these people are not, we're not talking about the industrial, we're not talking about the real estate investor. We are talking about Jill and Bob Smith, married couple, 38 years old, 44 years old, 56 years old, that has one rental property, maybe two rental properties. And they've been managing it. They've had some cash flow over the years. It's an absolute nightmare for them to deal with tenants. And a large portion of these people sell every single year. In fact, you're going to find about 20% of all of your closings inside of your market, inside of your MLS, come from this group of people. So, wow, makes sense now. Okay, I've got one group of people that have their hands in the sky that are telling me they want to move. Well, probably should go communicate with those people. Number two, I've got this other group of people who I already know is a huge, huge portion of the market that buy and sell every single year. Might make sense to go after them as a target market. Well, what else? Well, what about for rent by owners? For rent by owners. These are people that have these rental homes that are in between tenants. And that is the most stressful time for landlords. So you can communicate with them during the most stressful time, which is when they are losing one tenant and trying to replace it with another. This is the moment of time that make these properties the least profitable. They might lose a month or two of rent. They're having to get people, they have to do all the repairs. They have to bring the property back up to speed after the tenant was there for 2 or 3 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a huge pain point. So that's another group of people. Okay, we're not done yet. Number 4, remember the people that we talked about that sometimes lose their jobs? What about all those people that are in some type of distressed situation? Those people need help. Maybe selling a home that's just a bit too much to handle. Maybe it's just no longer affordable. Maybe they lost a job. Maybe one of the spouses lost their job. Now they've got to get something that's just more manageable for them. That group of people needs your help. Okay, makes more sense. We're targeting around a group of people. Well, what else? We're not done. What about all the people, no matter what the market's going to do, that they get divorced? About 50% of marriages end up in divorce. And those people have to not only sell their dream home, right? They have to buy 2 other homes. What about all those people in your market? Google how many people in your market get divorced every year. You're going to see it's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. No matter what the market's doing, no matter who's president, no matter what the housing market's doing, no matter what interest rates are doing, no matter what the economy is doing, people get divorced all the time. It's never going to stop. So that's a huge area of people that we can go and serve. I hope you're starting to get this. We're targeting who we're going after based on life events. Hold on, we're not done. The list goes on. Makes this way easier for you. What about all the people that own properties that unfortunately pass away without any type of an estate plan? Probate. Same thing. No matter what's going on in the market, no matter what happens to home prices or interest rates or et cetera, people pass away all the time. It will never stop. That don't have their affairs in order all the time. These are people, then those properties get passed to typically a family member who did not sign up to deal with this, who are in a very painful situation with a home on their hands that they don't know what to do with. There are thousands of these people in your market right now that need your help. So rather than just going and saying, I'm going to do social media and put some random message to some random people, that's why it's not working. You're not putting messaging or you're not targeting a group of people that need your help. That's why your lead generation sucks right now. Okay, hold on. We're not done. What about the other life events we talked about? What about all these people that get to retirement age and they have to retire? Downsizers. This is another huge demographic in your market that make up another massive portion of the transactions in your market right now that you're probably not going after. You probably have no lead generation plan whatsoever right now going after this huge group of people that are buying and selling every single day. Okay, well, and then lastly, what about all these people that get too old to live on their own? They have to transition out of their home that they downsized in when they retired. Now they're 80, 85, 90 years old, can no longer live on their own. Happens all the time, part of life. They need to go into assisted living. This whole elder care community. All these people need your help. And so when we look at that, we start to say, okay, I hope that you say, okay, the who is solved. The who, come on, like they cannot get any easier than this because again, we just went through someone's entire life cycle and all the areas as to when they buy and sell a home. That's who you're going to now target. So this whole idea of like generalized messages to hopefully any Tom, Dick, or Harry with the pulse and just sit back and wait for someone to call you, we're going to get rid of that. And now we're going to be a little bit more proactive and say, okay, I already know when people buy and sell houses because I just watched this video that this Brandon character just made. And I know there are 8 opportunities for me to really focus in my lead generation around different things that happen in people's life. So we've got the who figured out. All right. The next question is we got to figure out the how. All right. So we're going to figure this out. How, what you say? How are you going to generate conversations with these people? How are you going to generate conversations with now your target market? How are you going to do it? Well, in order to answer this question, there's a couple different variables that we have to address first. The first one is how long can you wait to get paid? So as you approach your lead generation in your business right now, every real estate agent is in a different financial situation. The question we have to first ask is how long can you wait to get a paycheck? That will determine your methodology, which we'll talk about. Okay, that's one thing that we have to look at. If you're like, well, dude, I need a paycheck as soon as possible, fine. We've got a method for that. If you're like, no, I can wait a little bit. I don't need money like on Friday. We got a method for that. If you're like, nope, I'm good financially, we've got a method for that. Okay, fine. That's one thing we have to consider. Then the other thing we have to consider is, okay, which category of agent do you fall under that will determine your methodology for lead generation? What I mean by that is this. So we'll have 4 categories, right? We'll say A, B, C, D. None are right, none are wrong. But category A are agents that have they have no money and they have no time. What I mean by that is they don't have any money to invest into lead generation, and no time means they need to get paid as quickly as possible. So that's category A, okay? Because we're going to talk about lining up your methodology with whatever situation you're in. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. There's a method for you, right? Simplifying this whole thing for you. Category B, we'll say category B agents have money, but they have no time. So they have money to invest right now, but they don't have a long time to wait before they start getting money. So they have a little bit of capital that they're working with, a baseline of capital right now, working capital. They came into this business with some working capital, but that they don't have a long time before they start having money come in. Okay, so that's category B. Category C is the agent who says, okay, well, they have no money, but they have a longer time horizon. So this might be because their spouse works full time, so they don't need money right away, but they don't have a lot of working capital. There's a strategy for that. And then lastly, right, they have money. This is going to make the most experience, like kind of the more experienced agents, and they have time. So they don't need money right now, but they're working with a lot of capital right now. This is just the experienced agent that's working from referrals. They've got business going on right now. They don't need money. They already have money. They got plenty of money coming in, and they don't, from their lead generation perspective, they don't have to do things to generate money now, because they have money to supplement. Okay, so now based on those 4 agents, we'll determine the third thing that we're going to cover. Okay, so we talked about inside the how, we talked about how are we going to generate these conversations. So the method. So based on this, what is the method in which you are going to generate these conversations, which are going to be dictated based on question 1 and question 2? All right. So here's what I mean. So when we look at, and there are only 6, that's why this thing is so simple. There's only 6 methods of generating conversations with your target market. 1, this is not one like first, this is just a option. And determining on which category you fall into will determine which of these methods you are going to use. Okay, so method number 1 is what we call unpaid outbound. Okay, and I'll talk about all these in just a second. Number 2 is, here, let me erase that. Number 2 is unpaid inbound. Number 3 is then just the opposite, paid outbound. Again, I'll talk about all these in just a second. Number 4, paid inbound. Number 5, sphere of influence, past clients. And then number 6 is referral partners. All right. So these are the only 6. Don't have any marketer tell you anything different. These are the only 6 ways to do what? What are we trying to do here? Remember, we're trying to solve the how. In how are we generating conversations with these people? Okay. The way in which you're going to pick these methodologies is based on which type of agent are you? What is your situation? So as an example, if we look at this first example of unpaid outbound is for the agent who has no money. They got no money to invest. They're broke. They don't have a ton of working capital, and they need to get paid as fast as possible. So they don't have a lot of time. Their time horizon before they start making money is very, 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 very short. So if that is you or that type of agent, then your lead generation is going to be unpaid outbound, which means you're going to communicate directly with your target audience by calling them directly, picking up the phone, calling them direct, or knocking on the door. Knock on the door. This is direct. Because, and a lot of you, this is like the stuff you don't want to do. It's like, that's the worst one. I don't want to do those 2 things. Well, guess what? If you're broke, you have no money, and you need money as fast as possible, this is the most efficient, effective way to generate money the fastest. Now, please hear me. You don't have to like that. You don't have to say, okay, well, you don't have to like it or dislike it. It just is what it is. Because you are in this situation of having no money, you are going to have to build the skills of having an unpaid outbound business model to change your situation, to start building some cash flow. So, you got to put in some sweat equity because you don't have any money and you don't have any time. So you have to go out there and call people and you got to go see them at the door. That's the fastest way for you to generate money as quickly as possible. All right. Now, the next method, okay, is this idea of unpaid inbound. Now, all of you got into this business. You thought you were going to get into this business because you thought people were going to call you. That's what you thought was going to happen. You quickly found out, shit, ain't nobody calling me. So unpaid inbound is for the agent that maybe has some working capital, that has an established business already, that has transactions happening because of what they're doing. Maybe that's referrals. Maybe they're doing some lead generation. And what we mean by this Unpaid inbound means that you are doing free sources of lead generation to get people to contact you, to get your target market to contact you. Okay, so you're not reaching out to them, they're reaching out to you, but you're not paying for it. So what do I mean exactly? Well, I'm talking about content. I'm talking about making content for your ideal client avatar or your target market that speaks directly to that target market, that would get that target market to contact you. Okay, so content. Another way is blogging. Okay, so most agents don't know how to blog. They don't know how to blog. They don't know how to put that blog in front of their target market. They don't know how to do that. Okay, so another unpaid inbound approach is open houses. Okay, so if you are the type of agent that you have some working capital, now this is going to take a little bit longer. Okay, you've got some working capital. This is going to take a little bit of time. All of this is going to take a little bit of time. That's why the number one, unpaid outbound, it's the fastest because you got to reach out to people. Well, I don't want to do that, Brandon. Okay, it's just going to take longer. It's not right, wrong, good, bad. It's just going to take you longer. You want people to reach out to you? No problem. You're going to start making content, writing blogs, doing open houses. You can do seminars. And you can do webinars. So you can do method number 2. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But if you want people to contact you and you don't want to reach out to people, you just can't wrap your head around that, then you're going to have to do things to get people to reach out to you. And then the last method here would be your email newsletter. Okay? So these are all free tactics, free strategies. It's you being a creator. You're putting the right message in front of your target market to get them to reach out to you. Okay? Next is we have paid outbound. So paid outbound. Maybe you're the type of agent who has a little bit of working capital, but you just don't got a lot of time to maybe make the calls or do the door knocking or make content or write blog. You don't have a lot of time on your hands. Maybe paid outbound would be for you. Paid outbound would be things like you're going to pay a company money in exchange for contact info from your target market. So you're going to pay a company to advertise to your target market. They'll go out there, they'll find them for you. They'll get their information and then they'll sell you the information. Here's Bob and Nancy. This is who you said you wanted. Here's their phone number. And then you call them. So it's an outbound approach, but you're investing money to save time to go pay the other company to get you the data. And then you call that person. Okay, so that's paid outbound. Next is paid inbound. So this is for the agent who, again, has lots of working capital. This is the most expensive. This takes the longest, and it's the least profitable. Okay, so this is the highest form of leverage inside of lead generation. Okay, on the paid outbound side too, just so I don't forget, this is like hiring an ISA to prospect on your behalf. This would be hiring another human being to call or door knock your target market on your behalf and go out there and generate opportunities for you. Okay, so that'd be another paid outbound method. Paid inbound, we're talking about specifically things like radio, TV, billboards, and then direct mail. All right, so you're going to put advertising via these channels, radio, TV, billboards, or direct mail, directly in front of your target market. And you're going to pay a lot of money to get your message in front of those right people. And then you're going to have them call you. That's the inbound part. Okay. So you're not reaching out to them. You're putting a message in front of these people with your dollars, either on the radio, TV, billboards, or direct mail. And then having those people call you. Very, very expensive. Takes a very, very long time. All right. Next. We look at past client sphere of influence. Now, this is, again, another business sector that I think most agents want more business from, but they don't do anything to get more business from this. So how are you communicating proactively? That's the thing. Proactively to that group of people. Or are you just waiting to be in the right place at the right time and getting lucky when your friend needs to buy a house and you were just in the right time, right place, and right time? So this can work for any agent, no matter if you've got money, you've got no money, you need business now, you don't need business now. But it has to be proactive. It has to be proactive. You have to be reaching out to them proactively to stay top of mind such that you earn the opportunity when the time is right. However, as far as the time goes here, it's a guess. That's the problem with that source of business is we don't know when somebody that we know or somebody that they know is going to fall within inside of one of these life events. We don't know when that's going to happen. And so we have no control over that. So that's the issue with sphere of influence past clients. Okay. And then lastly, we have referral partners. Okay. So referral partners, maybe you're the type of agent who's been doing this for some time. You've got some expertise. You start to say, okay, the sixth method on client acquisition, on lead generation, how to go get new business is by partnering with other business professionals. Other business professionals that are working with people that need to buy and sell a house. And I can partner with those other professionals. I could have professional relationships with those people so that when their clients need to buy or sell a house, they refer them to me. And so as realtors, I think we only think about this. Certainly we are on the giving side of this all the time, right? With your lender partners, with title companies, inspectors, home warranty companies, et cetera, et cetera. But then when I ask you, well, what are you doing to build your referral partner business? We never think about it on that side of the business. So I'm talking about things like attorneys as an example. Okay, think about the probate attorney who has clients that are passing away. They didn't get their estate proactively dealt with. So now they're having to handle this reactively. They have to go through the probate process. This attorney has to find a realtor who knows the probate process, refer that listing to that agent so that agent can list the property and sell the property. Might be a really good relationship for you to have. What about an elder care attorney? What about all the attorneys? They're called elder care attorneys that are dealing with people in the time of life that we talked about that are moving into assisted living and setting up all those affairs. Those attorneys have to find a realtor who understands how to deal with the elder, sell that property to help them prepare for this next moment in life. What about divorce attorneys? Same thing. Divorce attorneys dealing with people in a very big moment in life have to find a realtor. Sometimes it's court appointed by the judge that says divorce attorneys, the husband and wife obviously can't agree on anything. That's why they're getting a divorce. And so they cannot pick the realtor. You guys have to go find the realtor to sell the marital home. And now that attorney refers you the listing, right? These are just examples. What about assisted living sales managers? These are people, again, dealing with these people in life. See, everything revolves around this roadmap, right? That are coming to them every day. They come to them every single day, and they need to sell the home in order to afford the assisted living. So these sales managers need a realtor who can come in and sell the home so that they can afford to live in their facility, right? These are just examples of referral partners. The list can go on and on and on and on and on and on. Who are the people in adjacent industries that are working with people that are buying and selling homes every single day that would need your help? That's what I mean by referral partners. All right, so we've answered two major questions around who should I be targeting and how I should be targeting. We've answered all of them. We just talked about the 6 methodologies on how you're going to generate these conversations. Okay, we just went through all of that. That's really simple. And we solved the who. So you got the who and the how. So the only last thing to figure out is this question, okay, is like, okay, well, where do I get this information? Well, we're going to make this really simple too. Okay. So any of those demographics that we just got done talking about on that life cycle, there's many, many companies that provide this type of information, this type of data. We use a company called Vulcan 7. Okay. I will put a link in the description. You can use a company like that. And for like pennies per record, I wouldn't even call this a paid lead generation strategy because it's just like the cost of to be in the business. Because a lot of people are like, well, yeah, but you said that this was unpaid. Yeah, you got to get the data, right? So for a few $100s, you get the data of your target market. I mean, that's just a prerequisite to be in real estate. So Vulcan 7 is one of those companies. Again, I'll link to them in the description. And they can go out there and they can get your downsizers. They can get you the for sale by owners, the expired listings, the cancels, the withdrawals. They even get early probate data, things of that nature. They can get you the for rent by owners. They can get you these people during this period of time in their life where the likelihood for them to buy or sell is extremely high. Now, my goal is that now that you've gone through the last 40 minutes or so with me, that this whole overwhelming feeling of lead generation and where to start is more clear. But if it's still not clear and you just really want my personal support to help you kind of take your business to the next level, and you want to have a conversation about potentially a coaching relationship, be happy to have that conversation. I'm going to put a link in the description for you to schedule a day and time that works best for you. And then we'll see you guys on another video very soon.